What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you the battle for Week 7 of Season 2 of the UBL, and this week we are up against fellow Token Minority, the Uzi Gunner, and his Bullet Punch Club. And before I get into the team, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, it helps us out a ton, and let's do more cool stuff for you guys. Then please feel free to check out the TTM Discord that will be linked in the description below, as well as Uzi Gunner's channel that will also be linked. And then also shout outs to Danza, who recorded this game for me, always goes above and beyond. I really appreciate it, bud. But anyway, on to the team. Like I said, we are up against Uzi and his Bullet Punch Club, and this is going to be a much quicker run-through of the team than normal because, I'll be honest, like, I'm recording this after, but Uzi and I had one heck of a game that actually ended up being pretty long, so I'm just going to want to get right into that as soon as possible, but I still want to give you a quick rundown of the team. Basically, Uzi's got Kyurem Black, Raikou, Crobat, Alakazam, Alomomola, Rhydon, Mega Aggron, Infernape, Whimsicott, Zoroark, Tangela, and the ICMZ. And immediately looking at his team, there is no normal immunity. There's no Ghost type. The only normal resist he has, or the resists he has, are Rhydon and Mega Aggron. Mega Aggron cannot run Shed Shell, so Magnezone will be able to trap that. So really just my whole strategy in this game was centered around Magnezone trapping Mega Aggron, and then Porygon Z just absolutely going in with Scarf Tri-Attack against his team. Also, I'm noticing he doesn't have a grounded poison, so I'm going to be going for Toxic Spikes with my Scolipede to try to aid in the Porygon Z sweep late in the game. But anyway, I'll get to those three at the very end of this. But the rest of the team, first mon I'm bringing is a Spidef Mew, just because his special attackers would absolutely run train on me, like particularly a special Infernape. A physical one is kind of difficult for me to deal with, but a special one is really, really tough if I don't have a Spidef Mew. So that's why I opted to go with that in this case, and honestly don't know why I'm careful over Calm, but like I said, the battle already happened, and I mean, it doesn't really come into play. The only foul play mon he really has that would run it is Zoroark, and spoilers, Zoroark did not use foul play in the game. Zoroark might not even have come, who knows? But either way, this is typical Zazo Mew with Taunt, Roost, Super Fang, and Will-O-Wisp, taking advantage of the fact that he does not have a Ghost type. I'm able to spam Super Fang against his entire team, just get them down to half of what HP they have. The speed is enough for a speed creep. The Spidef is enough to avoid a 2-hit KO from Specs Raikou's T-Bolt, and then I just maxed out my HP and threw the rest into defense to take hits as well as possible. Next up we have a Mega Aerodactyl with Edgequake, Roost, and Toxic, just very, very solid against his team. The speed is enough to guaranteed outspeed Alakazam, and honestly, apart from Aerodactyl, Crobat does a lot of work against my team, and so does like Infernape, Kyurem. So basically, I just have to have something that outspeeds his mons and is able to revenge kill them. Aerodactyl is the ultimate revenge killer in this game. Yeah, I do struggle a little bit with Alomomola, and Aggron, but that's why I have Toxic, and for Aggron, that's why I have the Scolipede set that I do have. The speed, like I said, is enough for Zam, maxed out HP, threw a good amount into my attack, and then just threw 20 into defense just for a little bit extra bulk on the physical side. Next up, we do have a Seismitoad with Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Knockoff, and Scald, and the Rindo Berry. Basically, Seismitoad's only role in this game is to just get rocks up and maybe get a Scald Burn on something, maybe knock off an item, but really I just want to guaranteed get rocks up and not allow Raikou to spam Volt Switch if it is a Specs or a Scarf set early on in the game. That's ultimately just Toad needs to be a Raikou deterrent and something to get rocks up. The attack is enough to break max HP Kyurem sub with Earthquake every single time, like it forces him to have to have some defense in order for Earthquake to not break the sub. The Spidef is enough to guarantee live 2 HP grasses from non-boosted Raikou through my Rindo Berry, so maybe I can even get up rocks and Earthquake depending on the Raikou set. And then I just maxed out my HP, threw the rest into defense, and then just maximized my EVs with 4 into special attack. Next up we have a set that might look really, really weird, but this is a Buginium Z Endeavor Toxic Spikes Pin Missile Protect Scolipede, and you might be thinking, what the heck is Styx doing with this set? Well, first of all, Toxic Spikes are incredible against him. Like, if he doesn't bring Crobat, or if he doesn't bring Defog in some way, Toxic Spikes absolutely go ham against him. So that's really what I'm going to try to get up early to pressure him, get a little bit of residual damage here and there on certain mons, all that good stuff. But also, Scolipede is hard-walled by Aggron. Now, like I said before, I need Aggron to get worn down for PZ to be able to win in the late game, so this Scolipede is a way to do that. Because Scolipede is actually really, really heavy, Heavy Slam is like 40 base power from Mega Aggron on Scolipede. When I saw that, I was like, holy crap. And odds are he's not going to be running Stone Edge. He's probably going to be running like Stealth Rock, Roar, Heavy Slam, and Earthquake. Scolipede can come in, intentionally get worn down as I set up Toxic Spikes, and then endeavor his Aggron down to where Porygon Z can knock it out with a Tri-Attack, or Magnezone will be able to knock out even a Spadef set with a Thunderbolt. So that's ultimately what Scolipede is going for here. Pin Missile and Buginium Z. Buginium Z just so I have a harder hit on like Zoroark or Kyurem Black or something like that. And then Pin Missile over Mega Horn is for a Sash Alakazam that could potentially try to come in and revenge my Scolipede or a sub Alakazam. Just either way, just get 3 hits, knock out Alakazam, and we're all good. The speed is enough speed for Zoroark, maxed out my HP, threw the rest into defense, and then maximize my EVs here and there. Here we have a Magnezone with Toxic, Magnet Rise, and then Dual Stab and Thunderbolt and Flash Cannon. This is my main way of wearing down his Mega Aggron, but also is a nice way of dealing with Raikou that doesn't have sub, because I am resistant to most of Raikou's attacks, and I can Toxic it, wear it down, all that good stuff. And then also just Dual Stab against his team apart from Raikou is actually pretty insane, all things considered, because it hits a lot of his team super effectively. And then Magnet Rise, if his Mega Aggron doesn't have Roar or like some other way of hitting my Magnezone super effectively, I can trap this thing indefinitely and easily beat it 1v1. Same thing goes for like a Rhydon. I can come in on Rhydon, Magnet Rise, it's not going to be doing crap to me. And then I do have a Magnezone that is in and is able to spam Flash Cannon and Thunderbolt against his team in modest Magnezone. Even if you resist his attacks, still hurts a lot. Wow, I'm talking for too long. Sorry, I'm going to speed this up. The speed is enough for Mega Aggron. Just maxed out my special attack and then maximized my bulk with HP, defense, and special defense. And finally, we have the way that I think I'm going to win this game. Choice Scarf, Adaptability, Porygon Z with 2 normal moves and HP fighting. Just Tri-Attack and Uproar. Tri-Attack is my main spammable move. Uproar is if I need a little bit more power. Then HP fighting is if I want to hit Mega Aggron super effectively. Trick is late game scenario where I'm like trying to 1v1 like Raikou that's gotten a lot of defense, that's like gotten a lot of bulk up or something to that effect. Just basically if I need to get rid of my Choice Scarf and lock something in, I have that option. The speed is enough to guarantee to outspeed Crobat, and then just maximize my special attack and threw the rest into Spadef, as I figured I would probably be taking a Thunderbolt or something more than likely. But yeah, that is the team, and let's just go ahead and hop right on over to the battle. Alrighty, so here we are in the battle, and the first thing I'm noticing is that he did not bring the Crobat, so that means that Whimsicott either has to be Defog or Toxic Spikes are insanely free, and even if Whimsicott does have Defog, then Toxic Spikes are still free, because unless he tries to switch in on it, then Scolipede will be able to get the T-Spikes up that will poison it. And I also realized that I forgot to mention, this is the second week in a row that I am playing the leader of a division. Last week I was up against CJ, who was the leader of the Emma Stone division, and currently I'm up against Uzi, who is not only undefeated, but is the leader in my division as well. So yeah, this is not an easy stretch by any, well, stretch of the imagination, but we persevere. I'm seeing his team, I'm thinking that there really is nothing besides like Whimsicott, but I mean I have Magnezone to switch into Whimsicott that can deter Seismitoad from just getting up rocks immediately, so that is ultimately what I'm going to go for as I do lead with my Seismitoad. So I'm thinking that based on his team composition, he's either going to be leading with Infernape or Raikou, one of the two. I mean, if he leads with Kyurem, then he can just fire off a Z move and get a kill immediately, which was something I was worried about, but he actually leads with something that is insanely good for me in his Mega Aggron. Now, turn 1, I could predict him to just stay in and try to trade rocks with me and go for a Scald or an Earthquake just to get some damage off on this Mega Aggron, but I figured that, you know what, Stealth Rock is very, very good in this game, so even if he does stay in, which he does end up doing, I want to get my Stealth Rocks up as he decides to get his up as well. I want to force him to defog, as I feel like rocks hurt him more than they hurt me. Now, given that Mega Aggron probably was not going to stay in, I decided to just go for a Scald Fish for a burn, but he actually stays in, and I do get the burn, which, quite frankly, is insane. Like, that is such a good turn for me, as I'm not only able to get damage off on Mega Aggron, but I am able to burn that thing as well, to where I can just freely switch in Magnezone, as Earthquake will not be able to even one-hit KO me if he does predict that. So that worked out amazingly for me. I'm going to go for the knockoff at this point, because I'm like, okay, Mega Aggron is not staying in. He's burnt. He's doing nothing to me. Whimsicott comes in, knock off its Kebia Berry. That is beautiful for me, but with Whimsicott in, I don't want to risk like a potential HP ground by going straight into Magnezone. I'm going to go into my Scolipede and just get up my Toxic Spikes ASAP as he goes for the Leech Seed and misses. Now this is very, very nice for me, as I can just go for the Toxic Spikes with impunity, thinking that, okay, he's probably just going to fire off a Leech Seed once again, but I went for the Toxic Spikes and he actually stayed in and still Leech Seeded, and I was like, huh. Well, I mean, he probably predicted me not to go for the Poison move as he still had the Mega Aggron, so good play on his part. Either way, I am able to get the T-Spikes up, but seeing that Whimsicott does have Leech Seed leads me to believe that it is not an offensive set. So now, anticipating the Encore, I'm going to switch straight into my Magnezone, because even if he wants to go for like a Stun Spore, basically it covers both Stun Spore and Encore, he does end up having Encore, and Magnezone will be able to recover back up to full HP, and I can just fire off any sort of attack that I want right now. I mean, Whimsicott can't really do much to me at all, as it is revealed to be more of a support set than anything, and so I am just going to fire off a Toxic thinking he'll want to switch into Raikou, but he actually goes into his Mega Aggron and traps himself, so that was kind of peculiar, but I mean, I'll take it, because this is just a great situation for Porygon Z to be able to be set up to win later in the game. I'm going to go straight for the Magnet Rise, force him to have Roar if he has it, as he does just end up going for the Fire Punch. I mean, he revealed that earlier, but I figured that if he had Earthquake, he would still go for that there, as Fire Punch does absolutely nothing. Mega Aggron is slowly getting worn down, and now I can fire off a modest Thunderbolt. Won't be able to take him out, as you'll see, but it'll still do a ton of damage, to where whatever he roars me into, I will be able to knock him out. Fittingly enough, he roars me into Porygon Z, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of poetic that I had this team designed around Porygon Z getting the team getting Mega Aggron low enough to where Porygon Z could take it out, and that happens not early in the game, or not late in the game, but early in the game. So that was just kind of a cool situation right there, where Porygon Z was able to take out the Mega Aggron, meaning that normal spam is, well, insanely spammable against him at this point. He goes into his Infernape. Porygon Z is way, way, way too good. I know it's super obvious that I'm going to switch out, but I can't risk Porygon Z. Like, that thing just gets a kill whenever it comes in, and it comes in really for free on a Alomomola. I mean, nothing else, to be fair, but it comes in absolutely free on a Alomomola. So I'm going to switch out into my Seismitoad, as it's really done its job at this point, but he does go into his Whimsicott, and luckily for me, does get Stealth Rocked and does get poisoned. So this is working out very, very nicely, but Seismitoad still has some solid utility of being able to take one hit from Infernape and also deter potential Volt Switch from Raikou. So I'm going to go into my Scolipede. Scolipede was meant to get Toxic Spikes up and then also chip down the Mega Aggron. Well, Toxic Spikes are up, and Mega Aggron is dead. So there's really nothing that Scolipede needs to do for this game anymore. I mean, Whimsicott will get worn down eventually to where I can take it out, but now I'm firing off my Z move. I think that, okay, Whimsicott, if it wants to defog, it can. If it wants to switch out, then that's fine, but I can just get some very, very solid damage off on this Whimsicott, if not take it out. So yeah, I'm going to have my defensive, very bulky Scolipede go for Buginium Z, and this is going to be Z Pin Missile, which, I mean, only has a base power of 140, so it's only slightly stronger than Megahorn, but again, I opted for Pin Missile because of the Alakazam, and as you will see, unfortunately, the lack of power, or the power disparity between Z Megahorn and Z Pin Missile result in Whimsicott living, so I'm not able to get my Toxic Spikes back up at this point. Whimsicott is getting lower and lower. I think that, okay, he's probably going to try to switch his Whimsicott out. I could take this opportunity to get my Toxic Spikes back up, but I figured no. If I knock this Whimsicott out, I will be able to get my Toxic Spikes back up on something as he just goes into his Kyurem, which, I mean, isn't fine with me, but it's... I mean, I'm getting damage off on Kyurem, and I will not go down to Leech Seed this turn anyway, so I will be able to Endeavor that thing, as Pin Missile does a decent chunk as he is able to recover back up with the Leech Seed. But at this point, I'm thinking, alright, gonna go down this coming turn. I have a choice between Toxic Spikes and Endeavor. I figured that, okay, I'm gonna go for the Endeavor, because Kyurem, if it tries to set up a sub thinking it can take a hit easily from my Scolipede, then I'm in a world of hurt. So I opt to forego getting up Toxic Spikes once again in favor of trying to wear the Kyurem down with Endeavor, which I do, but he unfortunately just roosts a very, very good play on Uzi's part, and Scolipede does go down. So Toxic Spikes are no longer in the game, but I did get Whimsicott and Infernape poisoned. I'm going to go straight into my Mega Aerodactyl to scare this Kyurem out. I hate to do this so early in the game, but Porygon Z cannot OHKO a max HP, or cannot KO a max HP Kyurem from there, so I'm forced to go into my Mega Arrow, and I am forced to go for the Stone Edge. I hate risking Stone Edge against Kyurem, but he obviously doesn't want to risk it either, so he just goes into his Alomomola, and that takes a decent chunk. It doesn't take an amazing chunk, it takes a decent chunk. But at this point, with my Mega Arrow in on the Alomomola, I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to worry about this, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to go into my Magnezone and really either get a kill or get a good amount of damage off on something. Alomomola goes for Wish. I'm pretty sure that his goal at that point was to try to Wish Pass into Kyurem or Wish Pass into Whimsicott. Both of those would be scared out by Flash Cannon, and I just could not afford to let either of those get wished up. So I figured that Magnezone over potentially getting rocks up with Seismitoad was the better play. And instead of going for a Flash Cannon, I'm thinking that he knows that I'll predict that. So I'm going to go for the Toxic, expecting the Raikou. And I do catch that thing on the switch. So not only did I waste the Alomomola's Wish, now Raikou, if it is just a sub Calm Mindset, which to be fair would actually be very good against me, now it's poisoned, and Magnezone with leftovers will be able to beat that thing 1v1. So now that Raikou is in, Magnezone, even if he is packing HP Ground, will not be able to, well, first of all, it won't be able to, I don't think it'll be able to kill me. It might be able to kill me, but I was saying that Magnezone did its job by taking out the Aggron. I'm going to go for the Flash Cannon as he brings in his Whimsicott, and I'm able to knock that thing out. So Magnezone able to not only Toxic the Raikou, but claim a KO on the Whimsicott, and that is beautiful. He goes into his Infernape right here, and I'm feeling ballsy. Like I said, Magnezone has already done its job. So I'm going to stay in. I'm going to stay in on this Infernape. That was, I was really feeling myself at that point, and to be fair, it wasn't like a otherworldly play or anything like that. But I was thinking that, okay, Magnezone's done its job. He's probably going to try to be a little bit aggressive to try to get back in this game. I'm going to stay in and go for the Thunderbolt, as I do catch the Raikou on the switch, and that does a pretty good chunk. So Magnezone, all the while, is getting Lefty's recovery back. The Raikou comes in, it doesn't have HP Ground, and I mean, I was also thinking that, okay, if it did have HP Ground, it could have knocked me out, but given that I had a Seismitoad that was so likely to come, I did not think that Raikou would have HP Ground. If anything, it would have HP Grass. But at this point, with the Raikou in against me, I'm thinking that I don't want to give Kyurem a switch in at all. I want to force Infernape to come in and lock itself into something. So I'm going to go for the Magnet Rise against the Raikou. I mean, it might look like kind of a wasted turn, as I could have gotten a little bit extra damage off on the Raikou, especially because it does reveal to be a Calm Mind, but I really just didn't want to give Kyurem the opportunity to switch in. I wanted to force the Infernape because Kyurem obviously would have to run Earth Power in order to take out my Magnezone, and I would be able to resist the Ice Beam from it. So yeah, I just wanted to force the Infernape to come in. Kind of looks like a little bit of a waste, all things considered, as Raikou will be able to 3-hit KO me, as I will not be able to KO him before he KOs me, but I'm basically just trading my Magnezone for the Raikou at this point. But Magnezone took out the Whimsicott, got Mega Aggron down to the point where Porygon Z was able to revenge kill it, and it essentially 1v1'd a Raikou, like it traded itself for a Raikou. Like, I will take that every single day of the week. I mean, Magnezone did such good work in this game, and yeah, big threat that could have done a ton of damage to me is now gone in the Raikou because my Magnezone was able to put in the work. So Magnezone, you're going to go down here to a Thunderbolt. I was actually tempted to go into Seismitoad right there because I'm like, okay, he's gone for Shadow Ball a couple times. He's not going to go for it a third time. He's probably going to go for Thunderbolt, trying to catch me going into PZ, but I decided that it really wasn't worth it at that point, as Magnezone was so low. So yeah, Raikou is going to go down in exchange for my Magnezone, and I was wondering what he was going to send out here. If he went Infernape, I could just send out my Seismitoad and go for the Stealth Rocks, but I was thinking that no, Kyurem, if it comes in on Seismitoad on the double down, then I'm in a horrible spot, so I decided that even though Infernape was likely, I'd go with my Mega Aerodactyl as he goes with his Kyurem, so that paid off wonderfully, and again, hate risking Stone Edge in this situation, but I cannot afford to let this Kyurem, like, I cannot afford to forego the opportunities to knock this Kyurem out because it is such a big threat against me. And now, I'm in a precarious position. So, Alomomola is in against my Aerodactyl. I really want to go into my Seismitoad right now and set up my rocks. However, I have to get Seismitoad in on a turn where Alomomola's Wish is up. So it's just kind of like a string of 50-50s at this point. The Wish is up with Alomomola right now. I cannot afford to go Seismitoad because if he tries to pass into Kyurem, I'm screwed. So I'm going to stay in with my Aerodactyl. I cannot afford to let him pass the Wish into Kyurem, and I am just going to go for the Stone Edge as it doesn't even come close to knocking the Alomomola out. And the reason I'm okay with this is because the Alomomola is also Toxic. So eventually, he is forced to make the play. Like, I am going off of what Uzi is telling me that he wants to do. And so at this point, I could just go straight into my Seismitoad as he goes for the Wish. But again, that wouldn't do anything because I want to get Seismitoad in on a turn where Alomomola's Wish is up, but I know he's staying in so that I can get up rocks. So basically, I just don't want Kyurem to come in without taking rocks and get a Wish. I want it to have to take rocks in order to get a Wish. But I really can't pull the trigger at any point. I do miss the Stone Edge right there, which is unfortunate, allowing him to get the Liquidation off once again, as I did Roost last turn, and this time he gets the defense drop, so I was kind of like, crap. But yeah, he does get the Wish. I mean, it would have been nice to hit that, but I mean, it's Stone Edge. It's gonna miss eventually, but Poison is starting to rack up. And I'm thinking that Aerodactyl, I needed it a higher amount of HP. I just can't afford to leave it as low as it is. So I'm going to go for that as he goes for the Wish once again. And I've shown him over and over that I will stay in with my Aerodactyl, go for the Stone Edge to not let Kyurem get that Wish. I have told him, well, not straight up told him, I have shown him that I am not going to let Kyurem get the Wish. So I'm going to pull the switch right here. I'm going to pull the trigger, go into my Seismitoad, because if he goes into Kyurem on another Stone Edge, then that's essentially game right there. So I'm going to go into my Seismitoad as he actually liquidates, which not only gives me some HP back, but gets my Seismitoad in, and the Wish is up for Alomomola. So had he gone Kyurem, that might have just lost me the game right there, but I had to pull the trigger eventually. He will be able to Wish Pass into Kyurem at this point, unfortunately, but with my Stealth Rock up, at least the Stealth Rock is up. I mean, just plain and simple, at least the Stealth Rock is up to where Kyurem will have to take Stealth Rock into Earthquake to not be as high, to not be at as high of an HP as it would have been if he was just able to come in on Stealth Rock. Like, if he came in as I went for Stealth Rock, he not only wouldn't have to take rocks, but he also wouldn't have to take Earthquake, so we would be back to pretty darn near full. But at this point, Kyurem does come in, has to take rocks. I go for the Earthquake. I know that it is a very obvious switch into Kyurem, but maybe if I get a crit, I can knock it out. But I decided that either way, I just have to try to keep Kyurem low. I know he has Roost. Barely miss out on the KO, but I'm pretty sure that I would not have KO'd regardless at that point. And I thought about going into PZ as he went for a substitute. I really did. But I decided that it wasn't worth it if he just fired off his Icium Z, and I lost my Porygon Z. So I decided to, once again, make the safe play. I've made enough risky plays. I think at this point, if I play it safe, because I have Stealth Rock and Kyurem eventually is forced to switch out as I'm able to bring in my Mega Aerodactyl, I think I will be able to win the game. So fortunately, he does not appear to be running any defense as Earthquake does break the sub, and he's just going to go for the roost right here on my Mew. And in all honesty, all I need to do is get this Kyurem at half health. Like, if I can get it slightly below half, Porygon Z should be able to come in and knock him out. I go for the Ice Fang immediately as it misses. Or Ice Fang, Super Fang immediately. He went for Ice Beam, I went for Super Fang, and it misses. Now, this really, really sucks. Because what I would have liked to do is go for that Super Fang, keep him at half, and then taunt him as he went for a Roost so that I could get another Super Fang off and be able to keep him at half health to where Porygon Z or Aerodactyl would be able to knock that thing out. Now, I thought at this point, like, I thought he was going to go for his Ice Beam Z to try to knock me out, but that's progressively doing more and more, so I'm thinking that he's Metronome, but I also decided I had to risk it with Mew. I mean, if he didn't knock me out, then booyah, as he does not. I now have him taunted, and I have him down below half. But thinking that Mew is still a good sack later in the game, Porygon Z will be able to come in and live any hit from this Kyurem. I still kind of want Mew for the Alomomola later in the game. I'm going to go straight in, as even if he had gone for an Ice Beam right there, I would have been able to take it because of Porygon Z's bulk. But now I'm going to go for the Tri-Attack, and it does KO. That was huge. I was holding my breath thinking that I had miscalced, or that I had gotten a low roll or misjudged the roll with Porygon, or with Kyurem's HP. But now that Porygon Z has knocked out the Kyurem, I pretty much have the game on lock, because what I can do, sack my Mew to the Infernape, he goes for close combat, I mean, that's the right play, and, oh, like, I even just watching this game, I was breathing a huge sigh of relief as Porygon Z was able to knock out the Kyurem with that Tri-Attack, because I thought, oh, did I choke by not going for Uproar? But no, I needed the Porygon Z in the back to guarantee be able to beat Alomomola, so that's... yeah, very, very glad that Porygon Z was able to pick up the KO. Going to go into my Seismitoad as Infernape is locked into close combat. I have zero reason to not go into, or to switch out, or to double switch out. I figured I'd just go for the knockoff. If I do knock off the Infernape, get rid of his Choice Scarf as he tries to 2-hit KO me, then Porygon Z will be able to outspeed and clean up the game with Uproar. But instead, I knock off the Alomomola's lefties, and so now thinking that, okay, if he doubles into Infernape, that is a great play, but he is taking rocks and poison just to come in, and I will be slowly wearing that thing down. I'm going to pull the switch into my PZ as he does make the play that I predicted of going for Wish, and at this point, Porygon Z's in, the Alomomola is toxicked, it no longer has leftovers. I'm just going to start spamming Uproar. This is the exact reason I have Uproar on this set, in case I was in a situation where I didn't mind Porygon Z being locked into any move, and I did need just a little bit of extra power. So we are able to knock out the Alomomola. If he was the standard set, then Uproar, the difference between Uproar and Tri-Attack was what knocked out Alomomola, so that's kind of cool. But unfortunately at this point, even though Porygon Z has gotten 3 kills, I cannot switch it out and try to save it because it is locked into Uproar. So Infernape will be able to come in and knock it out with a close combat. So Porygon Z, you fainted, but you essentially won the game for me by picking up the KO on the Kyurem and then also knocking out the Alomomola right there. And as much as I wanted to go into my Mega Aerodactyl and knock this thing out with an Earthquake, let Mega Aerodactyl claim its first KO, if he was adamant and got a crit, he could knock out my Mega Aerodactyl from there. In Seismitoad, he would not only have to be adamant and get a crit, he'd also need a super high roll. So I just went into my Seismitoad. He ended up being Jolly anyway, but I just didn't want to risk the differential. Went into Seismitoad, took the close combat. He didn't crit me. Even a crit wouldn't have KO'd, and I am able to knock it out with Earthquake, and we are able to take out Uzi. So no undefeated team in the league this season. I mean, that was an incredible game. That was seriously such a freaking good game. Like, holy crap, good game to Uzi. I can't wait to meet you again in the playoffs. Like, man, that was one of those where I just sat back after the game. Like, I couldn't even do anything else. I literally just had to sit back for a second because I was so mentally exhausted from that game. That was one of the best games I have had in the entire draft format. Good game, Uzi. Very glad that I was able to pull out the win in that situation, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.